boys and girls. Today's learning target is I can think of subtraction problems using a part-part-whole chart. I'll show you what that means in a moment. So last week we were working on some story problem related stuff. We were thinking about real life situations and whether they were more adding situations or more subtracting situations. Like, are you getting more stuff and the numbers are getting larger, because that would be adding, or are you removing stuff and giving things away, which would be more like subtracting. Then we started looking at actual story problems and writing equations to match them using that same way of thinking. Is this a problem where there's more things and we need to add? Or whether we are subtracting, we're starting with the big number and taking things away. We also were doing some related thinking yesterday when we talked about part-part-whole. Nope, that's today. When we talked about fact families. Because in a fact family, there's that one larger number, and then you're either adding the smaller numbers to get the bigger number, or you're starting with the big number and subtracting the smaller numbers away. That's going to be basically what we're doing with the part-part-whole way of thinking. The whole is the larger number, and the smaller numbers are the parts. In some story problems, we know the parts, but not the whole. And in other story problems, we know the whole and one of the parts, but not the other one. So today, we're going to practice using that part-part-whole way of thinking with some example story problems. Let's get started. Okay, here's a practice story problem that we're going to work on. Sam has 45 trading cards. He gives some to his friend. Now Sam has 17 cards. How many did he give his friend? Now, to use the part-part-whole strategy, we need to figure out whether we know what the whole amount of trading cards was or whether we know the parts. So let's read this story one more time. Do we know the whole number of trading cards? Sam has 45 trading cards. He gives some to his friend. Now Sam has 17. So we know that the number he started with was 45. It said so right here. When he gives some away, that makes his number of trading cards smaller, so that would be part. And then the remaining part that he has left is the 17. So let's set up a part-part-whole chart. I'm going to make a rectangle like that. So in this rectangle, we've made two equal pieces. The whole is the top piece. This is the whole number of cards. And if we split the bottom into two separate parts, we get two parts that are equal to the whole. Let me label those for you. And I'll duplicate that. So we have part-part-whole. Two parts is equal to one whole. So we could say part, well, let's actually make a fact family with it. We could have part plus part equals whole, or you could have, well, that's a double fact. I could flip it, but it would still be part plus part equals whole. If you did it as subtracting, you could have the whole minus one of the parts equals the other part. Oops, no S there. And you can see that in the chart. You could add both parts together and you would get the whole. And if you took the whole and you subtracted this part, all that would be left is the other part. Okay, let's make another one of that chart so that we can complete it and solve this story problem. Get my black and make another, whoops, here we go. make another chart. And 2 equal bits, but the bottom is going to be split into 2 parts. Okay, so in this story about Sam and the trading cards, we know that 45 was the whole. So that's what we put in that section right there. All together, at the beginning, he had 45 cards. What happened then? Yeah, he gave some to his friend. So one of the parts is, well, we don't know how many he gave to his friends, did we? Let's put a question mark. Gave, and I'll say, the ones he gave. Or just question marks. This is our mystery number. We don't know how many he gave away yet, but we do know how many he had at the end. Now Sam has 17 cards. So we can put that in the other box. We may not know how many he gave away, but we do know that he had 17 left at the end. We can use this now to write an equation that matches the story, and we can solve it. So let's think about beginning, middle, and end when we write our equation to match. In the beginning, Sam had 45 cards, the whole. Then he gave some to his friends, so he subtracted from 45, but we don't know how much he subtracted. At the end, he had just 17 left, one of his parts. There's our equation that matches the story. Okay, so we need to solve 45 minus something is 17. Well, 2 strategies that come to mind when I like to show my work are either using a number line or using base 10 pieces. These are 2 new apps that are very similar to the ones we've been using before. I'll put them in the Math Links section of Google Classroom so you can play with them, but we're not going to do a whole lesson devoted to figuring these out. You could also use base 10 drawings, a break apart strategy, a number line strategy using just scratch paper on your at home in person. Now, 45 minus something is 17. Well, I could build 45 with the 10 pieces. That's 4 tens and 5 ones. Now, 45 minus something is 17 is a little tricky because I can't take away mystery number. But from knowing my fact families, I know that if 45 minus something equals 17, and I know that that's what I'm trying to solve, I can use the other number in the fact family, 45 minus 17 equals something. And that one I can do with the base 10 blocks. So this was my equation that matched the story, but this is the one I'm going to use to actually figure out the answer. Okay, let's take away 17 of these blocks. Right away I run into a problem. I only have 5 ones, but I need to take away 7 of them. We're going to have to break this 10 into 10 ones. So let's trash that one and get 10 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. Okay. Now we still have 45. Here's the 10, 20, 30, 40, and 45. But now we can subtract the 7 ones in 17. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we've taken away the 7 ones in 17, and we're left with, looks like 8 ones left. I'm going to quickly keep track of that in my equation. Let's use red. We've used up the 7 ones, and we know that now there is an 8 in the ones place in our answer. But we weren't done because we haven't subtracted the 10 from the 17. Well, let's get rid of a 10. Now we know that there's 2 10s left, and our answer is 28. 45 minus 17 is 28. There are other strategies you could use to solve it though. Maybe you're a kid who likes to use the number line. First, let's find 45. There it is. I'm just going to mark that. Now we need to take away some number of cards till we end up with the 17 that were left. So this was the starting number, the whole. Ooh, I should have typed that. Messy. And we subtracted the part that he gave away to get to the 17 that were left. Okay, well, I prefer to add, so I am going to count up. If I do a hop of 1, 2, 3, that gets me to a nice friendly 20. From 20, it's pretty easy to do a very large jump. I can jump by 10s, 20, 30, 40, or I could do 20 plus 20 is 40, whichever one my brain is more comfortable with. I think I'm going to go 10 here, and I'll do another jump of 10 right here. All right, so now I'm at 40, but the whole was 45, so I need to do one more little jump of 5. Okay, now to figure out how many that was, I just need to add up my jumps. Let's see, so we'll have 3 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5, and that will give us the part that is missing. I know 10 plus 10 is 20, and I know 5 plus 3 is 8, so once again the answer is 28. When you are doing your work, feel free to try out these tools and see if they help you. Now let's take a look at your assignment for today. You've got a Google Doc with 2 questions in it, 2 story problems. When you solve each story problem, here are the steps you're going to take. I put the little part, whole picture to remind you. After you read the story, you're going to complete the part, whole chart. Here they are right here. There's the whole, here's one part, here's the other part. So, first you read it, then you do the chart, then you type your equation that matches the story. I left out the part where you show your work because you are probably going to show your work on a piece of paper, or maybe you're going to try one of these apps, but either way, you'll be doing your work elsewhere. However, you do need to put your answer on this Google Doc. Here's the first story problem. Sari's book is 36 pages long. She's read 14 pages. How many pages does she have left to read? The other story problem is about my cat. Frumpkin is at the window watching a flock of 28 robins in the yard. 15 of the robins fly away when they notice her. How many robins are still in the yard? Remember, do the part-part-whole chart to match. Write the equation that matches the story. Show your work somewhere else, and then put the answer right there. That's all for now. See you in the next video.